All right, welcome to another edition of the Sports Guys. We've got another special edition for you guys tonight. Tonight we are going to do the part 2 of our strange but cool sports series. We did a really excellent one a couple months ago. We got so much good feedback from you guys about how much fun that episode was. We went through 20 sports from all over the world that are very strange, and in a lot of cases, you and we hadn't ever heard of any of them. And we went through the rules and we showed you clips of them. And we just got tremendous feedback. This was, by the way, Rob's idea to do this series, and it's been a huge hit. So tonight, we're going to go through part 2, and we're going to take you through 20 more sports that we didn't get to last time. And some of them are real doozies. Wait till you guys see.
And the funny part is we had to cut some out of this and trim down. There was one or two that I really wanted to do that we're going to have to put off for part 3.
Yeah,
so
that's right. I've already
good
booked
stuff.
part 3 for March. So you guys can look forward to that. I've got 7 sports already lined up for part 3. So if you guys think of any that you want us to do, drop it in a comment down below. We'd love to hear a strange sport that maybe we don't know about, and we'll cover it in one of our future episodes. So how you doing?
We're trying to stay with sports that are fun, that are completely different to us and strange to our cultures, but also that we could kind of envision how they work, and you can even envision kind of how they arrived at the creation of such a sport. So we want it to be a fun thing. We want it to be a little educational. Like most of these sports we want to cover, most of them people have never heard of, and that's the objective, is to sort of brighten or widen the horizon, and watch people around the world in sport, in combat, in competition, in various ways that the basic traditional things that we are exposed to don't include. So that's the objective of it, is that they're very different and very cool and unusual. So,
And we do a lot
of great.
We do a lot of football. We do a lot of basketball. We do a lot of kind of standard sports. But one of the things that we want to make sure we always do is broaden ourselves out and look at other things from around the world, like you said. And I think that's been pretty successful so far.
And you know what's cool is each one of these has sort of a country or an origin area, and they make a lot of sense usually. Places that are heavy snow tend to be, like snow polo or something like that. And things that are in the mountains, rugged areas, have a lot of like pack mules, and so it's really cool to watch human beings evolve to their surroundings and create sport from almost anything. A lot of these are from nothing, or from wrestling, or from just combat, competing with each other. And it's really cool to watch people make the most of what their surroundings are and what the environment dictates. So
it's true. It's funny. Some of the sports we talked in the part 1, and we're going to talk tonight about some of the sports just come from a couple of different sports that we know already, but when they're combined, they become this really bizarre new sport. And you have to think it was just a bunch of teenagers that were messing around one day that said, let's put, hockey together with roller skating or something, or hockey together with unicycling. And it creates this really cool new sport. In some cases, we're going to look at sports that really reflect the culture that they come from. Like you said, whether it's a combat sport, whether it's a hunting related sport or something else. Some of the wacky sports that England comes up with. So we're going to look at some of those. So it's just really fun. It's culturally expanding in terms of the sports world for us. So that's the way I look at it. So Robbie, tell us a little bit about the sport that's displayed behind you right now. Just give us a little preview. We're going to go into the details.
Well, it's called Buzkashi, and it's pretty cool. We'll get to it in a bit, but it's a very much about the kind of sport I'm talking about, where the rugged terrain and the nomadic people. It's a perfect evolution of the idea of using the tools you have to make something into a game. It's pretty cool. So we'll tell you more about that in a little bit.
It's kind of like their version of polo, is the way I look at it.
Kind of.
Some of the other sports we're going to talk about tonight, you can see behind me, I got a bunch of them here. This gives you a little preview of all the really cool stuff we're going to talk about tonight. So going to be a lot of fun to go down this path with you guys, show you all these 20 weird sports, and actually give you a view of them, show a little video clip of each of them. So And
And as always, we want to uh, conclude them with, would you try this? Would you want to do this at least once? Or would you be willing to put yourself into this situation? So that's a fun part of this, is we want you out there to envision whether you would try it and whether you've heard of it before or whether you would give it a shot, if
that's
it's
right.
enough like something you've done before, maybe.
That's right. Well, Robbie, you pumped, man?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go do this. We got a lot to get through. So before we get started, we want to just give a word from our sponsor, which is Play Pickleball. Play Pickleball is an organization here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. They have clubs in Maryland, all over North Carolina, all over South Carolina, and they're growing. They're about to open their first branch in Atlanta, Georgia, in the spring. And you can actually contact them on their website and talk to them about setting up a Play Pickleball club in your area, anywhere in the country. So definitely reach out to them. Play Pickleball right now is registering for the spring season, and they're our sponsor for tonight's show. They would like to invite you to come join one of their clinics if you don't know how to play. They can teach you from scratch lessons. You can join one of the lower level leagues. You can join a mid or an upper level league. All you have to do is go to playpickleballsocial.com. That's their website, and you go there and you can sign up and go find yourself an instructor if you want to learn how to play, or if you know how to play, go join a league. Highly recommended. I've been doing it for 2.5 years, and it is a blast. I look forward to Play Pickleball in all their leagues every single year. Highly recommended. It's coming to Raleigh soon, Robbie, so you'll have to get into the league.
Can't wait, because I'm playing pickleball again after my knee surgery, and I'm pumped to be back in it.
It's really fun. You make a lot of friends. I mean, I've met so many cool people doing it. Highly recommend you do so. You can also add Play Pickleball on your Facebook and your Instagram. So go ahead and add them as well. And you can reach out to Autumn Heinrich, who's the president of Play Pickleball. She was on our pickleball episode some months ago. She did a great job on this show. So anyway, thank you, Play Pickleball, for being our sponsor tonight. All right, let's go into the material. You ready?
Let's go.
All right, this is our strange but cool sports from around the world. And as we said last time, we're going to let you guys decide if they're cool, but they're all definitely pretty strange. And this is our part 2. As Rob already teased for you, we're planning a part 3 in March. So again, send us any weird sports that maybe we have missed and haven't found out about yet. This is our episode 41. And in the key in this episode, as always with these strange sports, is we'd like you to tell us if you would try this. Be thinking the whole time about, is this something I would try? Is this something I would enjoy? Or maybe is this something maybe I would just go be a spectator for? So definitely drop that for us. Let's look at sport number 1. This is from Ireland. What I did for this part 2 is I put in country it originates from and also the flag. And in this case, Ireland has established hurling as one of their most favorite sports. Every year, the All-Ireland hurling finals is played at Croke Park Stadium in Dublin with over 80,000 fans in attendance. The first reference to hurling in literature was from 1272 BC. So you're talking over 3,000 years ago. Hurling has had a huge role in Irish history and society, so much so that their laws and native Gaelic legal system used to give out compensation to players injured through hurling, almost like a pension. Currently, hurling is run with strict rules by the Gaelic Athletic Association. It is played with stick known as a hurley and a ball known as a sliatar by using a combination of your hand, and you can only take 3 steps with it in your hand, and the hurley, which is your stick. And the object of the game is to get the sliatar into the opposing team's net. You get a free kick from close to the goal if you hit it through the uprights over the goal. So you'll see when we show the clip, it's a little strange at first, but there are uprights. When you hit it through that, you don't get a point yet, but you do get a close free kick close to the goal, which allows you to get much closer to actually scoring. What are your thoughts about this game, Robbie? Hurling.
Couple of things about it. It's considered the Irish pastime, so it's a very similar in their popularity to maybe baseball, like an old sport that much older than baseball, but an old sport that was a national pastime. Camogie is what women play. It has a different name, but it's basically the same thing. But apparently, it's male male hurling and female camogie. There's 15 people per side, so it's kind of similar to rugby meets stickball or something like that.
Field hockey. More like field hockey.
Field hockey. They pride themselves on no one has names on the back of their jerseys, and your number corresponds to where you play on the field. So that's pretty kind of interesting, different type of thing. And the best way to envision it, you're going to see it, but imagine a soccer goal. It's a soccer goal that has a net, and it's approximately the size of a soccer goal. But however, the two side posts extend upward like field goal posts.
Or like a rugby. Looks like a rugby.
Or like rugby. So the side posts that come up keep going, even though there's a crossbar like with a soccer net. So it's like a soccer goal with rugby posts coming up from it. And you get 1 point if you hit it over the post, like sort of like if you were to kick a field goal, but you hit it. And then you get 3 points if you hit it into the net past the goalie. So it's a really interesting.
Yeah, and it's when I watch the game itself, it reminds me a lot of field hockey, but it also reminds me a lot of lacrosse. The way they run and attack the goal is much more like lacrosse than it is field hockey. So it's a little bit combination of those two, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a little bit of rugby in there too, because you have this very strange thing, and it'll take you guys a while to get used to it. We'll show the clip of when they use their hand to carry the ball for 3 steps.
Yep.
And it's just it's such an interesting game. I really enjoy watching it.
Yeah, it's so cool because it's a unique sport, completely unique, but there are elements of sports that we're very familiar with. But you can't parallel them because there are so many differences. So it's just a really cool, different kind of twist on a bunch of different sports that we're familiar with.
It is. So would you try it?
I think I would.
I would too. I think it'd be fun.
There's yellow and red cards like in soccer. There's just different elements of different sports, but it's a very old sport. So who's not to say that soccer and or football internationally didn't copy this?
Imagine what the sticks and the ball looked like 3,000 years ago. It must have been really interesting.
Yeah,
and I'm sure they didn't have much protection like they do now, where they got
No.
pads and helmets.
Yeah, helmets are required to play, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't always true. So
I just feel like watching this that our field hockey players and our lacrosse players would be really good at this game.
I think lacrosse and field hockey are the two main sports that have the most parallels, even though it's still got other elements too.
All right, well, let's go take a look.
That seemed a lot like lacrosse. Wow. That was a high skill level.
So what do you think of that?
Incredibly high skill levels required for that. Hand-eye coordination. Imagine lacrosse, but with a tiny little paddle, and they're carrying it on the paddle.
What do you think about him flicking it over the guy and then he gets it back and then he's tapping it like it's a golf ball and a golf? It's incredible.
Their physiques look like rugby players. Very physical.
I didn't realize there was that much hitting in the game. So it's a little bit like rugby too.
It's a lot like rugby and
And they love
lacrosse
rugby.
mixed with field hockey.
It's rugby field hockey is what it is,
Yeah.
with lacrosse elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely try that. That looks really fun, and I would watch that.
With a soccer goal.
What about
And
the big shots they take from way out where they swing the club like a baseball bat?
it's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's really like anything. It's about 5 different sports rolled in one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's really a combination of a bunch of things we're familiar with, but we're not familiar with this. And since it's so old, it's kind of, you could point to this as maybe the predecessor for all the sports we know.
No, that's right. That's right. Well, this is a really good one. Guys, drop us a comment. Would you try hurling? And would this be a sport you guys would like to watch? Let's go to number 2. We got Senegalese wrestling, which is called Lam. This is one of the most popular sports in Senegal. You can see what it looks like there on the bottom left and also what their stadiums look like. Lam and Wolof, which is widely known as Senegalese wrestling, is deeply rooted in tradition. Historically, people of Serer and Diola ethnicities used wrestling at the end of harvest season to determine who would be the village champion, winning cattle and other important prizes. Today, each match starts with the fighters being introduced by a chorus of women known as the Baku. Senegalese wrestling differs from Western wrestling in its rules. In Senegalese wrestling, you can punch the body in the head with your bare fists, almost like a boxing match. The match ends whenever a wrestler falls and his back touches the ground. Currently, Senegalese wrestling is very popular in West Africa and the national sport of Senegal, where it rivals soccer in popularity. And apparently they get up to 20,000 fans at these matches. So what's your initial thought about this type of wrestling?
I think it's pretty violent. It's pretty athletic. It's probably similar to MMA, what we would know, but it's very interesting.
Doesn't it feel like a gladiator sport from the Roman times? I mean, it almost feels
yeah,
like
it does.
from Rome.
And there's a real history of tribes fighting each other, and there's a lot of history behind this sport here.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, whole towns come to watch this kind of stuff. It's so popular. What do you think about the whole idea? I mean, we only allow wrestlers to clutch, but this is truly a combat sport where you're hitting, you're scratching, you're clawing, you're wrestling, you're trying to knock the guy down any way you can.
Yeah, you're allowed to hit with your hands. So
it's kind of like MMA, right?
That's like what I'm saying. It's got a lot of elements of MMA at least.
Yeah.
Grappling, but also hitting.
They do it in the dirt, which just kind of makes it interesting. It's not like in a ring or anything. It's just in a big dirt match. It's pretty cool. Let's go take a look at it.
The most popular sport in Africa, as in most countries of the world, is football. But there is an exception. For example, in the West African country of Senegal, there is a peculiar kind of wrestling. It is called the Senegalese wrestling, or in the local Lam. Its popularity here is extremely high. Competitions always gather full stadiums of fans, which, by the way, football matches cannot always boast of, despite the fact that everyone loves football in Senegal. The history of Senegalese wrestling goes back centuries. Then, during fights, along with wrestling, all kinds of blows were allowed. Kicks, punches, elbows, head, and even bites. Many fighters specially grew their nails to use them during the fight and blind the opponent, which was also not prohibited by the rules. Some wrestlers even specially sharpened their teeth in order to bite off the ears of their opponents during the fight, and then make a necklace out of them. Over time, the rules became more stringent, but, until now, Senegalese wrestling remains the only type of martial arts in which it is allowed to strike with bare fists, without any protection. Lam is not just a fight. This is a whole religion. A fusion of Islam and local beliefs eventually gave this struggle mysticism and ritualism, an integral part of Lawnmower rituals. Before the start of the duel, the rivals put on sacred amulets. whisper spells, pour themselves over with specially prepared sacred water, a saraf, the composition of which includes very strange ingredients, such as the hair of lions and hyenas, the milk of a gazelle, the roots of secret sacred trees. This water has the right to cook only marabouts, some holy people, leaders of mystical Muslim communities. Depending on the instructions received from marabouts, wrestlers pour this liquid on their hands, feet, or even take it inside. Each individual elixir has a special composition and a special purpose for use. For example, if a wrestler pours an elixir of pig's milk over his head, this will help to undo the plot cast by the opponent's marabout. And so let's go directly to the duel itself. The essence of the struggle is to knock down the opponent and force him to touch the whole body, or 4 limbs of the ground, while you can use blows to the head and face. They don't fight on the ground. There are no weight categories. Considering that some wrestlers can weigh up to 145 kg, sometimes such fights end in knockouts after 10 seconds, but they usually last 34 minutes. The first one to fall loses the fight. The winner becomes the king of the arena, receives fame and money. Thousands of teenagers dream of becoming the king of the arena. They train hard on the beaches and playgrounds of the whole country. Often they start their wrestling career in unofficial competitions, which are usually held at night, in deserted places. So, gradually young wrestlers gain experience, physical strength, and in time they can take part in one of the official tournaments.
And that's pretty intense.
All right, so would you try that one, Robbie?
Nope.
Why not?
Have you seen those guys?
Did you see some of those guys' physiques?
Yeah.
My goodness.
I'm good. I'll be a spectator on that one.
They've been lifting weights their whole lives. Man, I would go see that, though. That'd be pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, I'd like to watch it.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. Definitely tell us, guys, if this is one you would try or if you would just be a spectator like we would. All right, next one is donkey racing from Kenya. In the small town on the Kenyan island of Lamu, cars and bicycles are banned, allowing the people of Lamu and their visitors to maintain their traditional form of transportation, which are donkeys. Every year around November, the over 700-year-old township hosts its annual Lamu Cultural Festival, taking place at a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Lamu Old Town. The star of the festival is always the annual donkey race. Similar to a marathon, anyone interested in participating in the donkey race, and many tourists fly in to compete. The race is quite competitive, and the winner usually gets a significant cash prize and a trip to Nairobi, which of course is their capital. What are your thoughts about the donkey racing in Kenya?
I mean, it's a pretty cool tradition. It's a celebration of traditions, is how they call it. And so it's a lot more than like a sport. It's really a cultural event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit like the Senegalese wrestling. I mean, these are coming right out of their culture. This is something maybe other people couldn't understand, but it's really important to them.
Well, I think they wanted to celebrate donkeys because they're so reliant on them. So they wanted to do something special with them. And so it was sort of a natural progression of put them in some kind of competition. So that was pretty cool. But donkeys are extremely important to these people. And it's kind of cool what they've done with them.
I think so too. And the fact that tourists are flying in to compete now, that's kind of interesting. I would think that it would be mostly locals, but it seems like people want to get in on this. So is there anything that human beings won't race? That's what I want to know.
I don't think so.
I think they have raced about everything you can race.
Yeah.
Donkey racing. I love it. Is this one you would try?
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
I think so.
It's like
kind of cool. They invite everyone to participate who's interested. So it's a very inclusive thing. Obviously, there's some really strong riders who are going to win it, but it's an inclusive type activity.
I mean, it's like going to the go-kart track. It's just you have a donkey instead of a go-kart. You know? Yeah.
It's a fun festival.
It's definitely fun. Let's go take a look at it.
mimi pia niwapongeze shirika la Skyward kwa kudhamini mashindano haya, na natumai wamefurahia kuwa wamepata publicity inayostahili.
So how do you train for that sport, Robbie? That's what I want to know. You just ride your donkey every day?
I think you're riding a donkey from when you're really, really small there to the point where it turns into your work tool and it becomes almost like a part of your family. And you just start going faster and faster with it. And
so you take care of these animals. They're your pet. They're your transportation. They're kind of like your bike. They're your bike. You feed them. You take care of them. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And they're also your competition.
And you grew up riding one, I'm sure. You know, they probably ride them at 4 years old. I would imagine.
Cool. Pretty cool to watch. I respect the culture.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think it's pretty neat. Yeah, I would definitely try it.
Yeah.
Let's go to Fierljeppen, which is a really popular sport in the Netherlands. Fierljeppen means far leap in Frisian. Frisian is actually a dialect in the Netherlands. And it's a sport of canal jumping, native to the province of Friesland in the Netherlands, where they have more canals than any other place in Netherlands. And it's an extreme alternative to traditional pole jumping. Competitors use a large pole called a polestok to launch themselves across the river. Presently, the Netherlands has over 600 registered jumpers. Their current record is 22.21 meters. When Fierljeppen was first recorded in the 1200s, it was practiced not as a sport, but rather as a method of transportation to get across to the other side. Netherlands had a lot of canals and very few bridges, meaning if you wanted to cross the Netherlands, you'd have to use a pole to vault over the waterways. It wasn't until 1767 that Fierljeppen was hosted as an official competition with a national champion. And now they have a national champ, both men's and women's, every year. So what are your thoughts about this really interesting sport from the Netherlands?
I think it's so cool that this is how they cross their rivers and they turned it into a sport. That's just such a fascinating study in human behavior of, you know, the practicality of trying to cross this river. You get this pole that's, you know, let's see, 26 to 43 feet long, depending. That's pretty long. You know, that's a long pole vaulting type pole. But the purpose of it is to get to the other side of the river. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
What do you think about the fact that they're all getting sponsors now? A lot of the athletes are sponsored. You got Regball puts on the competition every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. And it was also an amazing race. Season 12, they had an episode where they had the people use this as one of the choices they could make or whatever. So
that's
cool. Pretty neat.
Yeah, actually drop us a comment if you think Rob and I should go on the show Amazing Race. We've thought about it. And if we do, maybe we'll do this Fierljeppen if we're in the Netherlands. So is this something you would try, Robbie?
I think so. I think it'd be kind of interesting.
I'd like to try
How
it.
deep is that river in the middle?
I'm not sure I could get up high enough to the top of it.
I'm not sure I'm an athlete enough to really
time, because you have to get high enough to make it over to the sand.
Yeah.
That'd be tough. You'd have to really practice that. I could actually see where you could train with this one. You could train with a run. You have kind of a run up like you're doing the long jump. Then you jump up on the pole, and you've got about 2 or 3 seconds to get up as far as high as you can before it tips over to the other side. And you're either going to come up short.
I would have done this when I was a little younger, maybe.
Yeah. I think this is cool. I would definitely go watch it as well. I would try it and I would watch it. So let's go take a look at it.
One cool thing is the base of it is a platform type thing so that it doesn't sink into the mud. That bottom. sorry. I think it looks fun.
Ik moet wel zeggen dat deze sprong wel heel bijzonder aanvoelde. Doordat je zit zo
I
extreem
don't think I
als
could do it as wide as that was.
meer dan
Though.
een meter. Dat je echt zelf ook hoger springt. Dus je zweefmoment wordt ook nog weer groter. En dat is een heel vreemd gevoel.
I'm sorry, but that just looks like an absolute blast.
I think that looks so fun. I
God.
don't know that I'd be good at it. And I definitely couldn't clear that wide of a river.
Are you sure you couldn't get to the sand if you climbed
I
up
think
high
it would
enough?
be really fun to do one about half that far, maybe.
How does the one guy get all the way, like just climbs all the way to the top and the pole
Just
just stays
really athletic.
balance? I guess
He's
it's
just
balance.
really athletic. He's strong. He's slender, so he's like light, but he's powerful. And he can just keep shimmying up that thing and balance it perfectly as he's falling. He's getting it's pretty cool.
And did you notice the Dutch like to have a good time? So the people that were there, it's like a big party.
Oh yeah, it was
It's a
fun.
festival.
Mhm.
People are drinking beer and laughing.
Actually, all of these have looked fun so far as a spectator type
Yeah.
sport.
No, I really like this one. Next time we go to Netherlands, we got to build this in somehow. Go see this event.
Yeah.
Let's go to number 5. This is ferret-legging from England. What a strange sport. Only England would come up with something like this. It's also
Yeah.
affectionately known as put 'em down and ferret down trousers. This quirky, controversial sport hails from the rural heartlands of England. Competitors brave enough to try it put 2 live ferrets inside their trousers and then tie the ankles and waist securely to make sure the little critters don't escape. And what's the goal of this particular activity? It is to outlast the others and endure the madness for as long as possible. Just so you know, the current record is over 5 hours. Someone
That's
put
crazy.
2 of these things down their pants for 5 hours. What are your thoughts about something this quirky and strange? And does it surprise you it's from England?
So again, it's born out of necessity kind of thing. What I read was that traditionally only the wealthy were allowed to keep animals that were used for hunting. And so when poachers would have animals like ferrets, they had to hide them in their pants to move around with them. So that's kind of how this started. It kind of reminded me of tigers starting NASCAR,
Mhm.
uh, how they needed to be a fast car to run the booze back during bootlegging years, and then it transformed. That's kind of this that they were illegally transporting animals they weren't supposed to have,
Mhm.
and it became kind of a sport out of
And
that.
then
So it's kind of
in modern day, it wasn't about hiding the animal. It was about just drinking lots of beer and doing stupid stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what's cool is it's expanded internationally. The United States has had its championships in Richmond, Virginia, in a lot of the 2000s. So it's local. You know, it's here in Virginia.
Well, here's the big
Virginia area.
question I want you guys to drop in the comments down below for us. Would you try ferret-legging? And if you would, do you think you'd be any good at it? I think it's absolutely insane. Rob, would you try this?
No.
No. I mean,
I'd like to be a spectator. I'm just so scared I would get the angry ferret that would try and eat his way out.
angry ferret, and yeah, I just nothing's going down in that region except for me. I'm sorry.
Too much risk,
So
not enough reward.
do you think this is funny, but do you think it's a little cruel? Like, is there some cruelty to this sport?
It feels kind of cruel, like
It's a
you're
little
scaring
cruel.
the heck out of the ferret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they don't deserve this being stuffed down your pants and
No.
trapped, right? So
They're cute and but I wouldn't want to purposefully just terrify this thing.
you were looking at some videos of ferrets, and they are pretty cute. They're a really cute animal. Like
Yeah, they're really
they're
cute.
kind of smart, and they make little sounds.
Yeah, they make cute little whistling sounds when they're happy.
Like they're pretty
Like
good
when
pets, right?
I remember I pet sat for one time, and
Yeah.
her name was Zuzu, and she was such a cute little ferret. And I would leave the room, and I'd come back in, and she would just whistle like it was so cute. And
Yeah. They're cute
I wouldn't
pets.
want to terrify one of those things. They're
Mm.
very scared of everything. So this would absolutely terrify it, I think.
The
But
good news, I would say, is I read that in all these competitions, they actually before the competition and afterwards, they really take care of these ferrets. They take really good care of them. They feed them well. They, so the actual event itself, I would say, is some cruelty, but otherwise they treat the ferrets, kind of like the conquering gods. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this looks like.
Pulling the ribbon at the top and dropping it down your trousers. And then sealing. Amazingly enough, you have to be sober to participate in this event. And then, of course, you have to see how long you can.
In the heart of rural England, there exists a sport like no other, ferret-legging. It's a peculiar pastime that defies logic, a true test of endurance, bravery, and perhaps a touch of madness. This is the story of how ferret-legging became a bizarre sport that captivated the imaginations of many. Our tale unfolds in a quaint village nestled among rolling green hills. It was the late 1970s, and word of this strange sport had just begun to spread beyond the borders of the United Kingdom. The village, like many others in the region, had its fair share of odd traditions and rituals, but none could quite compare to ferret-legging. It all started with a few adventurous souls who, fueled by curiosity and a penchant for eccentricity, decided to test the limits of human endurance. They sought to answer a simple but confounding question. How long could one endure the sensation of ferrets wriggling around inside one's trousers? The rules were straightforward, and yet the challenge was anything but. Participants were required to wear loose-fitting trousers, often secured at the ankles to prevent any escape routes for the ferrets. The competitors, with spectators gathered around, would then slip not one, but 2 ferrets down their pants, one into each leg. The game was simple. Endure the squirming, scratching, and nibbling for as long as possible. Now, you might wonder why anyone would willingly subject themselves to such an ordeal. Some participants claimed it was a test of bravery, a demonstration of their stoicism in the face of discomfort. Others saw it as a way to prove their connection to the rural traditions of their forebears, and for a select few, it was just the kind of outlandish challenge that made life a little more interesting. As the reputation of ferret-legging grew, so did the number of participants and spectators. What had once been a quirky local tradition was now drawing attention from around the country and even overseas. There were seasoned veterans who had endured ferret-legging for years and newcomers looking to make a name for themselves. Each brought their own unique strategy to the challenge. Some would stand stoically, their faces a mask of determination, while others would dance and prance in a futile attempt to distract themselves from the sensation. The ferrets, on the other hand, seemed oblivious to the spectacle they were a part of. They were merely going about their ferret business, exploring this warm, dark, and strangely convoluted new world they had found themselves in.
All right, that announcer is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
What do you dry humor?
So what is your wrap up on this sport, man? I mean, this is just crazy.
Yes.
I mean, only in England, right? And there's nowhere else.
The strange circumstances of the human brain trying to make a sport or a competition or a ritual out of something that's just around in your town or in your little neighborhood.
Aren't these just guys that want to be athletes, but they're not good at anything else? And these guys are not good at soccer, right? Or football. They can't play rugby. They can't play anything else. And they're trying to be good at a sport. And so they just are able to throw a ferret down their pants.
I don't know. I think it's something more than that. I think it's excessively competitive people who will compete in anything. It kind of reminds me of Michael Jordan with playing ping pong, and he won $5, and he made the other player that he was playing against run up to the room to go get his $5 because that was his trophy.
That's right.
That hyper competitiveness. I think this is an example of it.
It's a strange one. It's very fun.
I want to be stronger in my mind than you are, so I'm gonna shove one down my pants and I'm gonna be stoic. Like.
Well, guys, drop us a comment down below what you think of this one. It's definitely strange. I don't think it's cool. This one I wouldn't say is cool, but it's definitely strange.
I wouldn't say it's cool.
Yeah. Number 6 is an interesting sport from Italy. It's called Fistball. And here's some of the rules. You have 2 teams of 5 players on either side divided by a net or rope, usually a net. The objective is for players to use their fist or arm to hit the ball across the net into the opponent's half of the court. The goal is to prevent the other team from returning the ball. Each team can hit the ball up to 3 times, very similar to volleyball, with a bounce allowed between each hit. So that's one difference from volleyball, is you can have at least one bounce between each hit.
Yep.
No player can hit the ball more than once in their 3 attempts. When it comes to serving, each point begins with a serve from behind the 3-meter line, so you cannot score on defense, very similar to volleyball. Team that loses the last point or makes the last error serves the next. So it's like a side-out situation. In terms of scoring, each error by a team counts as a point for the other team. The first team to win 2, 3, 4, or 5 sets, depending on what tournament you're playing in, gets the set match. And typically there's also time matches in some of the championships. So what do you think of this very interesting game? I really enjoy watching it. Fistball.
I think it was really cool. I like this one. It feels like mostly volleyball, but you have to use a closed fist.
Mm-hmm.
It seems faster than volleyball almost.
A little bit like soccer, the way the ball bounces and the way the ball is. It's a little bit different ball.
So you get up to 3 hits with your 5 people before it has to go back over, and it's allowed to bounce each time. So there's a lot more things you can do to set each other up with that bounce, using that bounce.
And the field is much bigger than volleyball, but it's much smaller than soccer. It's much smaller than soccer, so it's somewhere in between. This seems very much like a kind of game that would be in Italy or Hungary or one of those sports in Europe that they would play.
I also read that it was very popular. It's been popular in the Germanic countries, so like Germany, Switzerland.
Right. Absolutely. No
they
question
play it a
about
lot.
It. Actually, this clip we're about to show is Germany and Switzerland in the World Championships this past year. So that tells you who's really good at it. Is this something you would try?
Sure. Absolutely.
I would too. It looks really fun. 5-on-5. Essentially 5-on-5 volleyball soccer is what it is.
Yeah. And you have to win. You have to win the set by 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very similar to volleyball. It's basically volleyball scoring.
Yeah.
You're typically, most matches you're playing 3 sets, and sometimes you're playing 5 sets if it's a major championship. So.
Like a really cool volleyball.
What do you think of that sport, man?
Yeah.
I think it's better than volleyball. It's more exciting.
I like the bounce. The one bounce.
I like the bounce, and I like
really
how
gives
big
you more options.
Is. These guys are real athletes. They're diving all over the place, saving balls. It's I can see why this would be really popular in Europe.
You can set up a more perfect spike with
Can't you see them playing this at like UCLA or something? Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Stanford.
I could see this would be pretty popular in the U.S. if they picked it up. So I would definitely try this, and I would go see this as a spectator. This is a super cool one.
Mm.
Would you try it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Next one is snow polo, which comes from St. Moritz, Switzerland. And they've played the world's preeminent snow polo tournament since 1985. So it's become a real tradition. Besides being the first ever snow polo tournament, the Snow World Cup in St. Moritz is the only polo tournament played on snow. Cradled in the gorgeous natural setting, the Snow Polo World Cup St. Moritz exudes a unique atmosphere on and alongside the playing field. It's an exquisite gourmet food selection as well as a number of social events that make St. Moritz's first-class hotels await tournament visitors and VIPs year-round. So what do you think about this incredible tournament they've created in St. Moritz, Switzerland that's become kind of a rich and famous, really fun event to go to?
Yeah, it sounds like a really highfalutin event with very wealthy people there. But it sounds cool. I like polo, so the rules are exactly like polo except for the surface they're playing on. So
Mhm.
it sounds cool. It sounds
You
like a
think this
cool.
would be a problem for the horses, or are they used to snow?
No, they're used to it.
They're used to it? Okay.
Mhm.
So the horses are okay. You notice they use a little bit different kind of ball. They have to use kind of like it's almost like a small beach ball so that it can roll across the snow. If you use the regular ball that they use, it would get stuck in the snow the whole time. They have to use a different kind of ball, which is interesting. And it really is apparently for the people that go every year, kind of like the way we do the Kentucky Derby in Kentucky. Like everyone comes and they kind of tailgate all day long, and there's
Oh yeah, sure.
lots of cocktails, and it's a big event. So, is this something you would try?
Well, the skill level required to ride those horses would get away from me, but if I could try it with other beginners, yeah.
I think I would do it with beginners too. I think that
Yeah.
I'd have to practice on a horse for about 5 or 6 days just to be able to be ready for something like this.
Yeah.
I don't have the horse skill right now, but if I could get up to that level, I would definitely try it.
Sure.
And I would definitely go to the big party that is this event for sure.
It seems like something fun you could work towards and get up to, but I would definitely be a spectator.
I would definitely go have some Swiss beer and chocolate and enjoy it. Let's go take a look.
So I read that it's just like polo, but it's faster than polo.
It looks faster, and that's why I
Yeah.
asked you about the horses on snow. Was that a problem? It doesn't look like it's a problem. And not only that, I think it's a quicker track.
No, the ball travels more quickly
Mhm.
than a polo ball across grass.
So I wonder if scoring's higher because of that.
I don't know if it's higher or not, but it's faster. So I like it. I think I like regular polo, so I probably like this even more, to be
Yeah,
honest.
this is cool. So you notice the referee had a referee uniform on, was also on horseback. And I wonder if that's because if they were out there on foot, first of all, they couldn't keep up with the horses, right? Because you have to go up and down the field.
They couldn't keep up with the play. They'd get hurt.
You got to be on horseback just to keep up with the play. And then secondly, you might get run over, right? So
Yeah, you get trampled.
probably better on horseback, yeah. So as a ex-goalie, how in the world do you defend the goal in this game? It seems like it's really hard.
I would say the concepts would be similar. Angles. It's all about angles
Mhm.
and forcing people to the outside.
Mhm.
You don't want somebody marching right down the middle. You got to force them to angle to a side, and then I'm sure it's a high skill level thing to use your mallet to save shots. I'm not sure how you do that, but
Yeah, it looks tough to stop it.
a lot of the concepts would be the same.
I guess you would have to just angle them off and not let them get a shot off or something like that.
Yep.
But
Force them wide.
this looks exciting. I really like to watch this one. Number 8, we got lawnmower racing. This actually started in the USA. The first lawnmower race took place in 1963 in a tiny town called 12 Mile, Indiana, where, Indiana with the Indianapolis 500, they have a tradition of racing anything out there. But that race, dubbed the 12 Mile 500, was only the beginning. In 1973, the UK took it to a different level, and a bunch of motorsport enthusiasts in the UK got together and started a first national mower racing league. And now they have the BLMRA, which is a racing association like NASCAR. And word has spread, and in 1992, the U.S. followed suit with its own United States Lawnmower Racing Association. And now 23 countries have national championships in lawnmower racing. So it sounds crazy, but this has become a pretty big sport, one of the bigger racing sports. So what are your thoughts about lawnmower racing in the UK and USA?
I think it looks pretty fun. You got to remove the blades from it, so it takes a lot of the danger out. You can soup them up to go between 30 and 40 miles an hour, and the normal ones go 4 to 8 miles an hour. So you're really doctoring up your lawnmower vehicle. I think it looks fun. I think something that
I think it looks really fun. I wonder though, it looks a little
be a big hit.
looks a little dangerous unless you really know what you're
Dangerous?
doing.
Yeah. I'm not sure how easy it is to tip these over, but I imagine they're pretty easy to tip. So that is dangerous.
Mhm.
But that's part of the fun too, is living on the edge a little.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, these guys are really good. When we go to the clip, you guys will see how great these guys have become on these machines. It's pretty astounding how fun it is to watch as well. So is this something you would try?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, a rider mower is fun anyway, even at 4 miles an hour. So
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
you soup it up to 40 and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. This is something you'd go watch as a spectator.
Yeah. Are they serving wheat smoothies?
I think so.
Maybe.
I have a feeling, yes. I'd go watch a race. Why not? Why not? I'm not real crazy about NASCAR, so, but yeah, I'd go watch a race. And I would definitely try it. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Ah, summer. The flowers are blooming, the bees are buzzing, but the lawn's looking a little thick. So let's give it a trim. We could use this, the Challenger cylinder lawnmower, hand push powered with a respectable 30cm blade width. Or this, the Bosch Rotac 320, an electric mower with an impressive 32cm width. Or maybe this, a racing lawnmower with a 389cc single cylinder Ford Honda engine. And well, yeah, it's quick. That's 13 horsepower quick. I mean, it doesn't even cut the grass. And you can race them here. Welcome to the greatest show on turf. Lawnmower racing isn't for the faint of heart. Meet the team that's going for gold. This is Dan Jones. He's the fast one.
I'd like to think I'm a good racer. I'm a fair racer, clean racer.
Then there's Colin Clegg. He's the reliable one.
I'm probably known not for my outright speed, but when it gets really bumpy and really gnarly, that's when I come into my own.
And the final driver is Dean Fuller. He's the consistent one.
I like to think I'm somewhere between the two of them, so consistently quick, I like to think.
And of course, don't forget Jason, the mechanic.
There's no rivals at all for me as a pit crew, but on the track, they're all rivals.
Together, they make the Who's Racing team.
So the lawnmowers that we race don't cut grass. Originally, they would have had to have cut grass, but we modify them to race them. We take the cutting blades off for health and safety reasons, obviously.
These monster mowers are quick, 50 miles an hour plus quick.
As they often say, motorsport is dangerous. There's nothing here to keep you strapped in. So if you come off and you're going fast, it's going to hurt. And over the years, I've seen broken arms, collarbones, shoulder blades, ribs, legs, ankles, yeah, you name it.
You might be wondering, why would anyone race on a lawnmower? Well, let's do a real quick history lesson. Lawnmower racing started back in 1973 by an Irishman called Jim Gavin and a few of his mates. Like any good idea, it started in a pub, here at the Cricketers Arms in Willsborough Green, England. Jim was involved in rallying at the time and was getting sick and tired of sponsors sinking their teeth into the sport. He wanted to create a form of motorsport that was cheap and accessible to everyone. A few beers later, the lads realised, hey, we've all got lawnmowers. No one would ever want to sponsor something like that. Why don't we race those? And so they did. And at the first event, people actually showed up to race. 46 years later, the British Lawnmower Racing Association is stronger than ever. The lads will be entering into one of the hardest, most gruelling endurance races on the planet, the 12-hour lawnmower race.
So the 12-hour race is really the pinnacle event of the year. Expect to have around 50 teams turn up. That's 3 drivers per team.
They race from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. That's 12 brutal hours of racing, going 50 miles an hour, through the dirt and mud, in the dark, on a lawnmower. A lawnmower!
There's lots of difficulties. The main obvious one is being at night, the track getting bumpy. The track's constantly changing throughout the night as well. To win this 12-hour race, for me, is the ultimate. It's just the pinnacle of racing, If I was to win this race, I'd probably cross the line in tears. I've always thought to myself, maybe I'd retire after that, just finish on a high. This is the one I want to win.
At 8 a.m, the race comes to a dramatic close. The lads finish in 14th.
I'm done. And I gave everything. I need sleep now. A beer and a sleep.
The Best Western team bring home the trophy after coming back from 43rd place. Just shows that anything is possible in lawnmower racing.
So is there anything the Brits are not like totally crazy about in terms of their sport?
They're pretty funny about sport.
Aren't they funny? They're like really into it. Yeah. They make it look really cool though, don't they? At least somehow,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It looks cool. It's a little extreme, 12 hours of racing a lawnmower.
I guess they don't want to just do 1 hour and then that's it. If it's the national championship, it's got to be big. I don't know about
6 or 10 laps.
Why do they do it all night? Why not do it during the day?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. This is cool. I would. I'm not sure I'd stay 12 hours, but I'd go watch it and I would definitely participate for a little bit.
They definitely made it more intense than it had to be.
I'd be the 4th racer or something like that. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like it. Number 9 is the sport you got behind you right now, Buzkashi from Afghanistan. And it's one of the most bizarre sports in the world. This game is not for the faint-hearted. It's translated to goat dragging, is what it means. A team of riders compete to drag the carcass of a dead goat to a predetermined goal, usually a hole or an empty tire. To make things weirder, whips are added and things can get really nasty between the competitors. So it can get real kind of combat. The team that scores the most goals in a predetermined amount of time wins the game. What is your thought about this Buzkashi and goat dragging and what is essentially like polo?
So it's an interesting sport where they're riding these pack horses, and the animal that they've treated is they prefer having actually a calf to a goat, but they take a calf, they behead it, they disembowel it, and they cut 2 limbs off, and then they soak it in ice water, and that toughens up the carcass so that it's sturdier and can be picked up more easily.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a wild sport. They take it real seriously, but It's quite something. Each team has 10 riders, and you can do substitutions. And it's pretty wild. We'll show you how you score the goals, but very
it gets pretty funny around the goal. You can get like thrown off your horse pretty easily, it seems like.
Well, we'll see if you can notice. A lot of times they'll not only just throw it into the big hole area, but they jump on it with it to make sure it stays in there.
It's like
because
a dunk.
it's like a dunk.
Yeah.
But you can see how sometimes when they throw it, it bounces back out again, and so they have to like go up there with it and make sure that the carcass stays in the hole.
It's basically polo where you have a whip and you're carrying a carcass of a goat or a calf, like you said. And then so it's a lot like polo, but you don't have a stick. And then it's like basketball at the end. It's like you have to get it into the hoop.
You really want to dunk the ball, which is the calf. Yeah, it's interesting.
This is Afghanistan sport. So would you try this?
Whew. I don't know. Leaning down, like in this picture that you have here, to pick the carcass up, you have to be really skilled to keep your foot in the stirrup and give yourself stability to get down to one side.
I don't think either of us are good enough horsemen, first of all.
No.
I don't think we could handle it. You guys will see. I don't think I would try this sport. I don't think I have the capability. And
I'd like to watch it.
I would like to watch it. But
I can't imagine being in Afghanistan, but
no,
you never know.
It would be interesting. Let's go take a look at this Buzkashi.
Next up on Fun Sport Friday, we got Buzkashi, Central Asian game, very popular. You play with a dead goat carcass. They say it can weigh up to 99 pounds. If you're wondering if that was a drone flying in the air, it was. If you're wondering if they have drones flying, but they're still using dead goats as the ball, they are. They very much are. You go on horseback, you take the goat, and you try to put it in this giant hole. This is a very formal game. There's informal games where there's no boundaries. Let's just gonna need to get that one in the hole. Oh my God, I'm dead. I just died, and we didn't score. What a bummer. Here we go. Nice and easy. Red person puts it in the hole. Opponent falls in the hole with the goat carcass. Number 5 is going to come up here and get a good block. Let number 6 take the goat, put it in the hole, score a goal. They're excited. What a sport, huh? What a wild sport. They said it originated because tribes would go steal other tribes' goats and then ride away, and then they would get chased, like, give us our goat back, and they're like, yo, that's pretty fun, all this goat stealing we do. Let's turn it into a game. This dude's got an open lane. He's got to turn this guy. Ooh. Nice little move. Turns that guy around. Gets the goat right in that giant hole. Goes for a fun ride himself. Fist pump. I love how universal the fist pump is. Okay, let's pick up this goat. Bam. 1 point for that team. All right, this guy on the left here, he's got nice and easy. Just put this in. No, wait, I think I'll just die. Instead of scoring. Goat in, horse backs out, not interested. All right, number 4 in blue, nice easy target. Bummer, dude. Terrible goat throw. Oh my God, this guy's getting his red pollard on, getting dragged around. That's pretty scary. Oh, I see you're interested in picking that up. You interested in dying? Boom. Crushed. Wow. Next up, nice and easy, in the hole, Buzkashi.
That is wild.
What do you think of that sport, Rick?
That is wild. That's a wild one.
I mean, it's just bizarre.
The carcass kept bouncing out of there. You have to like jump in there with it to make sure it stays down.
I want to know, why are they going off their horse every time? Why don't you just throw it in like a basketball hoop? Like, I don't get that.
Because it kept bouncing out because it had so much speed and force.
I guess you have to fling your body in with the goat to make sure it goes in there.
Yeah.
Is that
to hold it down in there to make sure it stays.
Because every time they shot it, it would bounce out.
I know.
That's funny.
Because they were coming in hot and it had speed and it had too much velocity to stay in that.
That's
hole.
one crazy sport there.
I think that thing's kind of slippery. The goal is slippery.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
I think so.
Because I would think it would stay in there if you threw it at the right angle and you wouldn't have to fall off your horse and break your collarbone. And
very often it seemed to bounce out on its own. So
these guys, they seem like they were pretty used to just diving off their horse to put it in there. Seems like they were used to it.
They
know?
kind of were incredible horse riders. I mean,
Yeah. What did you think of that one guy's move where he was starting to the outside and then he cut inside? It was like a running back. That was a pretty
it
cool
looked
move.
like it looked
The
like
running
in
back.
NASCAR when you're trying to go high and then you cut down low and you get by the
Yeah, yeah.
guys blocking you.
I don't know. I think this sport's pretty entertaining. I don't know.
I'd watch it.
Yeah, I'd watch it for sure.
I can't imagine hanging off the side.
The next sport, our dad, sent this to us. It came out of Mongolia, and Mongolia has a very rich and long tradition of archery. And they have a version of archery that the women of Mongolia, you see there in the yellow, one of the Mongolian women doing her foot archery. And they perfected this as an exhibition version of archery with their feet. It's really pretty incredible what these women do. Often in acrobatic positions, they do all kinds of tricks. They shoot arrows while on handstands. They can sometimes being held up by a man, or they use flaming arrows. There's competitions in about 12 different countries. They have competitions now. They do performance art on TV. What is your thought about this very interesting Mongolian version of archery?
Well, the original, it's fascinating. It has a very long history. In fact, it says that it started in ancient Mesopotamia and is 20,000 years old. So,
Wow.
I mean, nothing we're going to talk about tonight is anything like that. It's pretty cool. It's
Can you believe
extremely hard.
how elegant it looks like? I mean, it's incredibly
Archery is
elegant.
hard enough when you're just standing with a good base. But
Mhm.
imagine having to hold yourself upside down like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
High skill level.
I wonder what it takes for someone to just get interested in this and the amount of practice so that you can hit a target, hit a balloon, hit something with a flaming arrow. I just have mad respect for these women that have perfected this art. Very cool. So they just had it actually on America's Got Talent. They had a woman on there doing foot archery. It was pretty cool to watch.
Mhm.
So let's take a look.
How did she not burn her foot right there?
All right, I'm just going to say I could not do that. It's not that I wouldn't try it. It's just that's not physically possible for somebody with
I
my.
actually kind of like archery, but this is a style of it. There's no way.
There's no way I could do that. Would I go watch it? Absolutely. It'd be really cool to watch somebody who's that perfect at it, and is that much of an acrobat. Super cool.
Yeah, I like
Definitely.
how it had an artistic element to it.
Yeah.
It had clearly a functional element. Archery was invented in the beginning for hunting, and then it evolved into a tactical warfare instrument. So,
Isn't it
this
interesting
is,
that these kind of sports would start in a place like Mongolia or like an ancient place, and then somehow the Western world picks these kind of arts up and they
yeah,
perfect it, you know? It's kind of neat. So I like that one. That was pretty cool.
it's high
Number
skill and artistic, so it's pretty cool.
It is. Number 11 is fireball soccer. It started in the UK. It's become incredibly popular in Indonesia. Fireball soccer makes the cut on the list of the weirdest sports in the world. Started in 1297, about 1,000 years ago. It is precisely what you expect. It's a kerosene-soaked coconut on fire. Players use barefoot when playing this game, as if that's not enough. Standard soccer rules apply, and whoever scores the most goals wins. The game has become the most popular game in Indonesia. You can see a couple pictures there of Indonesians playing this game, which has become so big that they now have a professional league of fireball soccer. What's your thought about this version of one of our favorite games?
I mean, it's pretty cool. There's a spiritual element to the fact that it's a fireball. They believe that you are perfecting your discipline and your faith, and so there's a very spiritual side to it. But also, it's it's a skill level thing, and the ability you'll see in the clips of these guys to kick the ball and not burn themselves is kind of amazing.
And what about the goalies? Like, they make big saves.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I know. I don't know how you stand there and have a fiery soccer ball kicked at you and you don't jump out of the way. Like, your goal is just like a goalie to block that thing.
You're right about the spiritual connection. It's very much like they pray. They do Muslim and Islamic prayers beforehand. So it's very much become a huge part of their culture. It's not just a sport, but it's also, very much of their spirituality. So it's very cool to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you try it?
I don't think so.
Really?
I think so. No, I don't know how long it takes you to learn how to not burn yourself, but I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think I'd try it either.
I'd watch it, though. It'd be real interesting.
I would definitely enjoy watching it, for sure.
This is Sepak Bola Api, or the fireball game. It's played in Indonesia and is one of the ways that the people of this country welcome the month of Ramadan. Transworld Sports head off to find out more about this unique game, and we strongly advise that the uninitiated don't try this at home.
I agree.
Indonesia is the world's largest archipelago. It's comprised of some 17,000 islands, around 6,000 of which are inhabited. We travelled several hundred kilometres east of the capital, Jakarta, to Pondok Pesantren in Cirebon. Established around 350 years ago, Pondok Pesantren is the oldest Muslim boarding school in Indonesia. It was here that we witnessed the pupils preparing for their annual game of Sepak Bola Api.
The students at Pondok Pesantren boarding school are required to cleanse themselves before taking part in this event. Once they have done this, their self-confidence will be increased.
It's claimed that not one person has suffered a single burn during the games that have been played here. Before the encounter begins, fireworks are set off in a spectacular, not to mention ear-shattering display. The ball is made from coconut fibre and is doused in diesel before being set alight. The game loosely follows the regular laws of soccer, with a referee controlling play. Heading, chesting, throw-ins and tackles are all allowed. On this occasion, the game is watched by over 10,000 spectators. Once again, it passes without incident, and there are no reports of any visits to the local burns unit. When the match ends in a draw, the outcome is decided by penalties. The winning team celebrates their victory as the curtain falls for another year on this truly incredible Indonesian game.
I have to tell you, that one is fascinating. That is so interesting. Just the culture behind it, the spirituality behind it, the fact that they make this a tradition every year. You know, the ball is on fire.
Like they believe in the spirituality that God's going to protect you from the danger and stuff like that.
And yet you see the boys were having fun. You know, it seemed like a real fun game. And
they seem really laid back and relaxed, not uptight.
Looks like they're playing on sand or something.
Yeah.
Interesting. Barefoot. So I don't know. That's interesting. I would not play it, but I would definitely watch that one. That's pretty cool.
Same.
Next one's from Yemen. This is camel jumping. This is one of the oldest weird sports in the world. Professional camel jumpers use their speed and strength to move over as many camels as possible. It's practiced by the Zaraniq tribe in western Yemen. There's a national champion in Yemen crowned every year, and now it has spread to several other Arab countries. Only Dubai allows women to participate in camel jumping. What's your thought about this sport?
It's just the human mind finding a way to be competitive with something that you just have available to you.
Yeah. These guys are real athletes. I mean, they could do the high jump in like a regular track.
It looks kind of dangerous, a little dangerous.
Don't you think they could do the high jump if they were at a track and field competition? These guys?
Yeah. It's kind of the same moves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fascinating. You're right. I mean, I think the human mind, like you said, can make a competition literally out of anything. They'll race anything. They'll do a competition out of anything. So what do they have a lot of in Yemen? They have a lot of camels.
They have camels.
By the way, camels are not very nice.
They're not friendly.
They'll bite you. They'll spit at you. It's
Yeah.
really, really interesting. I found this one fascinating. Camel jumping.
I'm surprised they'll sit still for you to jump over them.
I'm surprised they had professional camel jumpers. There's actually a pro league in Yemen. And they bet on it and everything. Pretty interesting. Let's go take a look at this one.
What I'm about to witness is camel jumping. Not camels jumping, but men jumping camels. Unsurprisingly, the men of the Zaraniq tribe are the only people in the world who practice this sport. The camels are lined up into position, ready for the big event.
So this is obviously how you prepare to jump over a camel. Or if the rumour is true, several camels. Just to give you an idea of height, I'm about 5'9". This camel has got to be over 2 meters in height.
With the camels firmly held in place by their tails, the competition starts. The favourite, Ahmed, makes the warm-up 2-camel jump look easy. But this is just the start, and Mohammed, the smallest of all the competitors, is not going to let lack of stature be a handicap.
You can hardly bear to watch.
Three camels prove a hump too far for some.
No, it's not. That's really hard.
And then it's 4 camels and just 2 men left in the running.
Someone's jumping now, someone's going to jump now. That's 4 camels. This just seems madness. I mean, some of the guys were barely clearing 4 camels. 5 camels has got to be too many, surely.
Without delay, Ahmed charges in, full steam ahead. Now the favourite is out, 16-year-old Mohammed is the last one left. Tribal respect is won with these jumps. If he makes this, he'll be considered a warrior. And in the end, there can only be one champion. Mohammed's prize is the admiration of the entire tribe.
Well, it's not a very complicated sport or anything.
What do you think of that one, though? It's kind of cool.
It's just athletic. You know, it's cool.
Like if you were visiting Yemen, I would want to go to the competition just to see it.
A little different, yeah.
You know? So, you know, I was thinking when they kept adding camels, it feels a little bit like the home run derby, like in baseball. You know, where they just like they go from 8 competitors down to 6, then down to 3, then it got down to these 2 guys who had both done 4, and they try 5. I don't know. It just felt a little bit like the home run derby, where it's like some guys get eliminated. You got 2 finalists. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Would you try it?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nah, not that one.
Not that one? Even one camel?
I think camels are mean, and there's a good chance I don't clear them. So.
And then you get bit.
Yeah, spit on.
Yeah. I don't think I'd try that one either. That doesn't look like in my repertoire, I would say. Next one is fun. It's in Wales. Wales being kind of a crazy place within the UK. This is man versus horse marathon competition. This sport started in 1979 in Wales to settle a pub argument, which does not surprise me at all, where locals wondered who would win a race between a man and a horse. From that time, the marathon race is held every year of 22 miles, which is a little bit short of a real marathon. It's held in Wales involving horses and men. The horses have won most of the races, although men have won twice, both times taking home $40,000 in cash. What is your thought about man versus horse competition from Wales?
I think it's an interesting idea that doesn't logically extend from having horses, but I think that I have heard the longer you race, the closer the chance of beating a horse is for a man. So the fact that it's 22 miles.
So the horse is always going to win the first 10. He's probably always going to win the first 15, but you're saying gets up to 20 and the man has a chance if he can stay in there.
Yeah, horses start to tire, especially when it's on this rugged terrain. It's not on like a pretty track where it's very easy on the legs. Horses start to wear down, and a strong-minded human can keep going. So
That's right. Very true. Well, this is a fascinating one. I really think it's an interesting concept, and obviously hilarious that it came from a pub argument and pub bet. But I think it's very interesting. So let's go take a look.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll come back next year. This is a cow. This is my little horns. Look.
Towards the entrance there, I know it's sort of one or two you can't see, but you'll see what's underneath the listen. The 25th!
Here he comes. Coming on the right. Come on.
Oh, he loves water.
Thank you. I think it's this one. Excellent. Hiya, keep going, Becky.
Well done. Absolutely delighted. Yeah, it's the first time I've done this kind of race, and obviously the first time I've raced against a horse.
You know what that made me think of, man?
What?
The Hash House Harriers. So this is a call out to Dad. All those times we were overseas and we were part of the Hash House Harriers, we would go on those races where you'd have to follow the different paths and find the circles, and what a fun running group that was. And I don't know, for some reason that sparked that for me from our childhood. So what are your thoughts about that competition? Think it'd be fun to watch? You think it'd be fun to be part of it?
I think it would be fun. Yeah, it'd be fun because you know that the likelihood of the human beating the horse is low, but it's possible because it's such a distance where the horses wear down. So
yeah, you made a really good point earlier. This is not exactly a flat surface. I mean, these guys, you saw what they're going through. This is tough. This is true cross country.
Yeah, it's rugged. Through
rivers and streams and uphills and through rock. And yeah, it was interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely would want to watch it. I'm not sure. Maybe early in my life, I could have been in enough shape to be able to at least finish most of the course. So pretty funny to hear what the guy said there at the end. Totally delighted.
Yeah.
Never raced against a horse before. So only in Wales, right?
Yeah, he was pretty proper. It was funny.
All right, number 14 is shovel racing from the USA. Shovel racing is one of the weirdest sports in the world, and it borrows the concept of sledding, but instead of on the sled, it uses a shovel. So like other strange sports, the shovel racing started in a very odd way. Workers at a New Mexico ski resort in the 70s used shovels to move from one point to another quickly. And the sport made it to the Winter X Games in '97, but was stopped for safety reasons. And now proponents are trying to get it back into the X Games. So what are your thoughts about this very strange winter sport?
I think it's a very strange sport. It's a weird take on it. I can understand how a shovel would be a useful sled type instrument with the wide part of the shovel to sit on. Can't imagine really who thought of racing these things, but interesting. I know you can get going really fast.
Well, the fact that it started with workers at a New Mexico ski resort, what they were probably having to do is get from point A to point B, and they probably needed the shovel wherever they were going, right? So they're like, oh, you know what? I might just ride it down there, that kind of thing. It's probably how it got started. And then they started realizing it was kind of fun. They probably started having like just employee competitions,
Yeah.
And then now, of course, it's become a sensation. Now it's a whole sport that people train for. So I think it's pretty fun. The fact that it was in the X Games is pretty crazy.
That is wild.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. But
when you guys see this clip, you're not going to believe how fast some of these guys are going on this shovel. It's really amazing how fast this thing goes. Let's go take a look.
Today is the World Championship shovel races at Angel Fire Resort.
It's a tradition. The only thing that's on my calendar at the beginning of every year.
It's race day. We're all here trying to get our shovels to go down as fast as we can.
Bottom of course is clear.
Where else in the world are you gonna come and race on a grain scoop shovel other than Angel Fire? You sit on a grain scoop shovel and you let go, and whatever happens, happens. Hopefully you hit 60.
Next racer on course is number 45.
This is the only place that I know does this.
You know how we talked about human beings would race anything?
Yeah, for sure.
They really will. So would you try that one?
I think, yeah, but I don't know about on that course where they're going 70 miles an hour.
God, that looks fun though.
I think I'd do it more on a slower course or something.
I would try it if I was all padded up with helmet and everything like they are, and then I had that thing down at the bottom that looks like a big balloon that stops you. Then I would try it.
Yeah.
It looks like so much fun, man. Sign me up for this one. I'm in.
I think I would do it.
It looks fun. All right, let's go to ostrich racing. Speaking of racing anything, we used to live in South Africa when we were kids, and this sport actually originated in South Africa. Ostrich racing has become quite popular, making its way also to the United States. Ostriches can reach an incredible speed of 45 miles per hour, and it makes it really exciting for fans. Ostrich racing championships now occur in 18 countries, and the world championships are held every 4 years, kind of like the Olympics. So what are your thoughts about ostrich racing, and what do you remember about it from our childhood?
Well, I don't remember anything about ostrich racing. Seeing ostriches quite a bit in my life, yes. I know Dad has ridden an ostrich before, and he told me he got thrown off it. I think they're pretty mean. So it would be very much an adrenaline rush riding one, I think, because that thing would love nothing more than to throw you off. So it's pretty wild. It's a wild concept.
Don't they look like they're a ancestor of dinosaurs? Like when I look at that, the way they run, the way they look like dinosaurs.
Yeah,
like what the dinosaurs, the smaller ones would have looked like. Yeah, they're definitely mean. They'll spit at you. They'll bite you. I don't know how you control them in a race. I mean, they have professional racing leagues now.
They probably get used to being ridden.
I do think it'd be fun. I would definitely try it. It looks like it'd be fun. I might get thrown off, but I would definitely try it. And I would definitely go to a race as well. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Go to professional, like a big time match. So let's go take a look at ostrich racing.
Go. Number 3, Stephen Curry, very rambunctious. Great start for Brexit. Good start for Kardashian.
They kind of weave.
Bruising. It is Brexit. Kim Kardashian. Escaline calls on the bird for everything he has and wins. Number 1, Kim Kardashian is the champion. How about that? Those birds were twirling, spinning around. We have one attacking somebody now. Holy cow. A day sponsored by the Minnesota Lottery. Number 1 is the winning ticket. Kim Kardashian.
Man, it's hilarious how they don't run in a straight line.
Take a look at that. Brexit with Jose Montoya thinks he has it, holding on for dear life. Here comes Kim Kardashian, cruising to a victory by a long neck.
Man, those are funny looking birds when they're running.
Is that freaking hilarious or what? Okay, I would go to the track just to watch that. That's hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
They can barely hang on. It's not like riding a horse where you're in a saddle. These guys are barely hanging on. And some of them are falling off at the end. Like, I don't know how you stay on there. It's crazy. But fun.
Yeah.
So I can see why Dad got thrown for sure. All right, so we would both try that one and we would both go watch that one. That's pretty fun. Next one is Cycleball or Radball. This was started in Germany. The competition's between teams of 2. So you have 4 people on the court. The goal is to get the ball into the goal by using only the wheels of the cycle and your heads. The game is played by striking the ball with the front or rear wheel. The feet and the hands must not be used unless they're on the handlebar or pedals, or the goalkeeper can also use them. Headers are also permitted. If a player touches the ground, he may continue to play by crossing his own goal line. Otherwise, a free kick will be rewarded. So what is your thought about this really interesting combo game, Cycleball or Radball, they call it, which is essentially soccer with a bike?
Until I saw the video, I really didn't have a good handle on the skill level. But it's pretty impressive.
It's incredible what they can do with their wheels. It's
Yeah, I can't ride a bike like this.
No, it's just amazing what these guys can do. These guys are good athletes.
Yeah,
And
they're
what-
just really high-skilled bike riders.
And what the goalies can do really astounded
Yeah.
me. Like, they really lay out. So I can see this being a game. I mean, over in Europe, Hungary and all the Yugoslavian countries, Germany, Austria, they love these kind of games. Handball, cycleball. This is the perfect kind of game for them. Let's go take a look at this one.
A toss to see who gets to kick off. It is Austria who are going to get this game underway. First blood to Austria in the opening minutes of this final. Well, Germany needs... There's the ball, and there is the back of the German net.
That was sweet.
There is another one. Here we go, from the penalty spot. Oh, well saved again from Austria. All kinds of things happening here. Can they get it into the net? You always...
I like that game a lot, man. That's fun.
Yeah, it's cool.
What do you think of the skill level?
Very high.
Yeah. It was amazing. Cycleball.
Yeah.
We've seen, unicycle hockey. We've seen all kinds of stuff. This one is definitely up there for me. Would I try it? Absolutely. Would I be good at it? Probably not.
I'd try it just to see if I could figure out how to shoot
With your tire.
with your tire. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that one. 17 is Turkish oil wrestling, obviously from Turkey. Oil wrestling is one of the oldest competitions that are held in Kirkpinar, Edirne, Turkey, in June of each year. Contestants wrestle with each other while being covered head to toe in olive oil. Each year in June, the Turkish oil wrestling tournament is held at Kirkpinar, Edirne, Turkey. Oil wrestling is where 2 oil wrestlers compete to pin their opponent's belly face up in the sky on the grass. So in other words, you have to pin them in that position you see there to the right with their back fully to the ground. That's how you win. Is this a sport you saw when you were over in Turkey a couple of years ago?
No. it's kind of strange. I mean, oil wrestling. This sounds like something you do in a leisure activity.
Right. And it
Not
just
so much.
makes it more difficult. Like trying to pin is really tough when you're this slippery, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how you exactly get a hold of somebody, but
You have to just, I guess, lean all your weight on them to pin them like the guy has here. So, is this one you try?
I don't know. Maybe. Probably
Yeah.
not.
No? Okay. Yeah, I don't think so either.
Probably not.
So let's go take a look.
Türk 2 numara. Evet. Yusuf Can Zeybek, Kürşat Şevki Korkmaz'la. Serhat Gökmen, Mustafa Batu, Süleyman Başar'la. Faruk Akkoyun 8 numara. Hasan Cengiz.
Ajans Frans Press abi açılım. Frans Press. Frans Press.
Yani Kırkpınar bizim için tarihi bir geleneğimiz, yani atasporumuz, Türk'ün ilk meydanı. Çok büyük bir organizasyon. Yani bu bizim çok büyük bir olimpiyatımız, yani bildiğimiz. Hani Minder'in olimpiyatı neyse bizim olimpiyatımız da Kırkpınar, Edirne, Sarıçı.
Bir omuz ameliyatı oldum. Geçen yıl aşil tendonumda yırtık vardı. 17 santime yakın.
Can you believe that Turkish wrestling has like 15,000 people in the stands to watch this outdoor oily wrestling?
Well,
it's
a little different, but I do think that filling up your opponent and having them, it would be really hard to grapple them. So I do think it's a high skill level thing.
Huh.
It's just so different from the kind of wrestling that we're used to.
Right. Yeah, it's wild. It's so popular in this country. It's like one of their top sports. Very interesting. I think this would be incredibly difficult. Both of us would not try it. Would I go see it? Yeah, just out of curiosity. I'd probably go to one
Sure.
match if I was over in Turkey and I was visiting.
Yeah, I'd like to see what a champion looks like. Like
You probably have to be particularly strong. You notice that one way they're grappling is they're just grabbing their whole leg or like grabbing their whole upper body.
Yeah.
That's how they're grappling. Yeah. So 18 is the dragon boat tug of war in Poland. Two groups of men sitting in opposite ends of a dragon boat. It's kind of like a rowboat. And after your first watch, you might wonder why the team that crossed the line is celebrating. Kind of confuses our brains. Dragon boat tug of war or dragon war. It involves out paddling the other team, pushing them back and moving forward across the center line. So you're going the opposite direction of most tug of wars. So what is your thought about this very interesting version of tug of war where you're actually going forward instead of backward?
You're pushing instead of pulling.
Yeah. What do you think of this?
I think it's a pretty cool idea. You know, nothing says that you have to be pulling the other group.
Definitely try this sport. This looks fun. I don't think I'd be very good at it, but I think it'd be fun just to be with a bunch of guys rowing, trying to push
I think
as hard as you can.
think if you were good at crew, you'd be really good at this.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. And would I go to a match? Absolutely. That'd be fun. Looks like they hold it mostly in pools, but I guess you could do it on a river too, maybe.
I think it's a pretty fun concept, pretty cool.
I like that. I think, it comes from Poland, but I think that any of those European countries would love this. I could see Germany loving this, Austria, all those countries, France.
Mhm.
This looks fun. I think anybody, like you said, anyone who loves crew, we have a lot of crew tradition in the United States as well. This would be pretty popular. So I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Let's go to 19. This is really popular and getting more popular all the time in Australia. This reminds me a lot of the game Spikeball, which my son introduced us to at our family reunion last year.
Yeah, it's got that feel.
It's got an interesting twist to the game. It's played in a circular court, and it's a mashup of squash and tennis. The ball is bounced off the black circle in the middle once each player's turn. Points are scored when one team over the other by making the team miss returning the ball. Teams play 3 sets to 21 points. So that's how the scoring is done. And like I said, it's very similar to Spikeball. What are your thoughts on this sport?
It reminds me of Spikeball a lot.
One big difference is that you have a paddle in your hand, whereas Spikeball, you're hitting it kind of like a volleyball with your open
Instead
hand.
of an open hand, you're using a paddle.
Yeah.
I think it would take a long time to get really good at this.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't think it's something that you pick up quickly.
You'll notice in the video, guys, that you have to be almost like a cat. You have to really be able to move and dive, and you got to be you have a lot of dexterity to be good at this game.
You have to understand angles and
And off
trajectory.
the wall. Yeah, it's really it's a very cool sport. I like it. Would you try it?
I would try it, absolutely. It would be fun to try. I just don't know if I'd be good at it. It would take a while.
You think the boys would like this one?
Yeah, I think they like to try it.
Yeah, I think that looks fun. I could see us playing this at our family reunion, 100%.
Sure. Wow. You have to make so many decisions in a split second about angles.
That game is incredible. I mean, that is
fast.
Not only fun, but wow. Like if you're playing at the top level of that game, that's tough.
You have to be
diving all over the
processing so quickly. and
You have to make a
constantly thinking
decision.
ahead.
You have to make a decision how you're going to set your partner up for the dunk, and then
Yeah.
also how you're going to play the wall, because often you're playing the wall either one way or the other. So I really like that sport a lot.
And then as the other team hits it, your whole plan changes quickly. You know,
That's
it's
right.
pretty wild. I like it.
I want to know where we find a court so we can play. It looks really fun. All right, our last sport of the night, Regball out of Russia. Regball or Rugball. It's a brutal Russian sport. It combines basketball, wrestling, and rugby. The game is 7 versus 7 unless a foul occurs, where you can have a hockey-like power play, 7-on-6. As in basketball, players have a ball that they try to shoot through a hoop. But nobody is yelling that's a travel while watching the sport because there's no need to dribble. So essentially, there's no dribbling in the sport. Players also wrestle each other during the game, and very little is not allowed. So there's very few rules. There's no free throws. Wrestling and takedowns are a big part of the game. Former Ultimate Fighting Championship or UFC lightweight champion Khabib Nurmagomedov enjoys playing this sport, which may give you some idea of the kind of warrior who participates in it. So what were your thoughts when you saw Regball for the first time?
It looked like these Russian guys were thrown a basketball and they had no idea what the rules are, and they just were told to make it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
That's
what
right.
it looked like to me.
Looks like they took like 4 sports and mashed them all together.
Yeah.
Wrestling, basketball, which they love, rugby, and just said no rules, and you got to get in the hoop, basically.
Pretty much.
That's what it looks like to me, and it's fun. Would I try it? Absolutely. Like in my younger years, this would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Would you try it?
Maybe not with these guys, but
No,
more
no.
normal guys like us. Yeah.
Yeah, normal guys. Yeah, yeah. I would definitely try it. I would definitely watch
Although
it.
it's so weird, there's no rules.
It's kind of a brutal, almost like a cage match basketball game.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So drop us a comment, guys, once you see this, whether you would try this game. Here we go.
Did y'all just see that? These guys are playing basketball. Well, kind of. And this guy just got the life beat out of him. The craziest part about this isn't even a foul. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here is Rugball, a sport created in Russia that mixes elements of basketball, wrestling, and rugby to create a hybrid monster of a game where you may just lose your life. It's violent, it's unsettling, and it's pretty much the greatest thing I've ever seen. But before I show you some absurd clips of these guys completely dismantling each other, let's go back a few weeks, when I first saw a clip of this sport. Wrestling and basketball? How? Or, an even better question, why? Well, back in 1999, the Russian Federation of Rugball was formed, making it an official independent sport. But long before it was official, Rugball was used by wrestlers as a form of training to help develop coordination, dexterity, stamina, and many other factors that translated to wrestling. And similar to basketball, Rugball is played on a court with a ball and a hoop. And that's the extent of their similarities. According to the Rugball rulebook, the game begins by throwing the ball in the center of the field. It's a court, not a field, but continue. The ball can be passed, thrown, beat. In the game, you can use power tricks and fighting techniques except for prohibited ones. And by prohibited ones, they mean killing. You can't kill someone. But other than that, you're good. In Rugball, there are no free throws, no fouls, you don't have to dribble, no goaltending. There are literally no rules, which sounds insane, and that's because it is. Now, equally as chaotic as the game itself is its name. I'm not sure if it's called Rugball or Regball. Most sources call it Rugball, but their official website calls it Regball. So I'm just gonna call it Rugball, because everything is ruleless and lawless and nobody cares about anything anyways. You can do whatever you want to score the ball or stop the other team from scoring the ball. And everyone who plays takes advantage of this lack of rules. So my immediate reaction to seeing this game for the first time was, ow? Doesn't that hurt? Turns out players can wear elbow pads, knee pads, and specific helmets if they want to. But for some odd reason, a lot of players simply don't. Because who needs functioning joints, am I right? Next, I headed over to YouTube and Reddit to see what others thought of this sport. This guy says this sport reminds him of the late 80s, 90s Pistons games. And I do see the similarities. This is the perfect game for those overly physical football players and wrestlers that show up to basketball runs to put us all out of our misery. And now that I think about it, this game is probably why wrestlers that play basketball are so aggressive. If I knew y'all were doing this in your spare time, I would have never stepped on a court with y'all. And you're probably thinking, it's not that bad. Kind of rough, but any tough guy could manage. And you're wrong.
That's definitely one of the craziest sports I've ever seen, for sure. What do you think of Regball, Rugball? What do you think of that?
I like it, but it's crazy.
Would you want the boys to play that game?
No.
No.
It reminds me of a less organized rugby.
It is. But you played rugby. I like wrestling. I like basketball. I don't know if I like them all together, though. I don't know. Try to figure it out if I like it or not. I would try it with guys smaller than me, maybe. But other than that, probably not.
Yeah, these guys are goons. Like, I wouldn't play with them.
No. Did you see how big some of those guys are?
Yeah.
They've been wrestling their whole lives.
I know.
You got UFC championships guys playing it. So that was a weird one. I like it, though. Well, Robbie, wrapping up, man, what were your favorite ones from tonight?
I think Rugball was one of them. I like the Dragon Boat of War.
Yeah, it's cool.
Dragon tugboat of war or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Buzkashi was cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool ones.
I like hurling a lot. I really like
Fierljeppen.
Fierljeppen and hurling were my favorite too, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Buzkashi is a lot of fun. I kind of like to see that live, see what that looks like.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones we showed tonight. I was real excited about that. That 360-degree ball is pretty fun.
Yep.
Ferret-legging, no, I don't think so. The snow polo, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot. So
I wore my shirt in honor of Abby Lampy from last time.
yeah.
2-time cheese rolling champion.
Yep. We ended the show with cheese rolling last time, and that was awesome. And really proud of her winning it twice from NC State.
Good job, Abby.
So, had a lot of fun. We've reached out to her, hoping to maybe get her on the program one day. And guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight for part 2 of the Strange But Cool Sports episode. And we're going to plan to have a third one for you in March. So definitely tune into that.
We had a couple of my favorites that didn't make this show, but I think they'll be as good as anything we've done. So part 3 should be fun.
Drop us some comments. We want to hear from you what sports are out there that we should cover. And definitely go to playpickleballsocial.com and sign up for a spring league or maybe a lesson if you're trying to learn how to play pickleball. So I've got my pickleball wizard hat on.
Yeah, it's the fastest growing sport. It's so fun. It's so popular, and it's definitely in any city near you, they're playing it. But Play Pickleball is coming, to all the areas. Hopefully that it's going to grow quickly, and so get out there and play. Keep an eye out for Play Pickleball.
What's amazing is every age enjoys it. Your boys enjoy it. My kids love it.
Yeah.
Old people love it. So it's anybody can play it.
And it's relatively inexpensive. They're using the infrastructure of tennis courts.
Right. That's right.
And the paddles are inexpensive. The boys are getting some paddles for Christmas, and they're excited about that. And they said it today. They want to go out and play this weekend. So anyway, go play pickleball.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight for Strange But Cool Sports Part 2. And we will see you guys again on the Sports Guys. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of great content coming your way. And let's have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
See you.